right, saying that she's now just opening her eyes and seeing that he is not and never has been a good friend to her. She feels like any time that she had gone to vent to him, he probably just went and told Jeffrey. That is really freaking sad, because I know that she vented to Shane a lot about the stuff that she's going through. For Shane to just relay that information to Jeffree Star probably made fun of it. I think that not only Trisha is seeing this side of Shane, but everyone is seeing this side of Shane this week. Like, Shane is on a freaking break, you guys, and he is in this big scandal. That is when you know you have an issue. He is out here publicly saying, I'm going to stand by someone who really hurt my friend of 12 years. And that is just, I think it's hard for a lot of people to process, because whether or not you like Trisha because she has done some really bad things, this isn't an issue of whether or not you want to support Trisha Paytas. This is truly like an issue that I think a lot of people can really feel upset about, because being betrayed by a best friend for someone who is literally hurting your feelings is definitely a really painful thing to happen, and I think something that people can really relate to. And for it to be on this level is truly just embarrassing for Shane, and the fact that he wants to come back to the internet, and the fact that he has done such bad things already, and his reputation is so down the toilet, it's not even funny, but he's still going to like ruin it more by doing this. It just really shows his character to a lot of people now, and people are just really seeing that he's willing to stand by someone who is so mean, and now we're seeing it's like literally for no reason, because Jeffrey was not even going to be loyal to him last year. But I definitely want to know what you guys think about all of this, the new information that has come out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I love you guys so much, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.
Indeed is the proud. What did I do now to deserve your gifts, friend? Heracleta.
Misthios, you came.
It's been a little over a week since Donald Trump got permanently suspended from Twitter, so let's just call it what it is. It's a ban. A permanent suspension is in fact a ban from Twitter. And according to the data,
these people have nowhere to go.
Misinformation about the 2020 presidential election dropped by 73% in the first 7 days following Donald Trump's suspension.
That's the principle of Spartan training.
A 73% decline in 1 week in misinformation about the 2020 election. The number of posts containing misinformation fell by 2.5 million. And honestly, I don't think that's all just because of Donald Trump. It's because of all of the other accounts that got purged for spreading the misinformation, which is obviously seen as potentially inciting the insurrection that had happened in the days before the mass purge happened. So, look, that's a pretty strong argument
Will you help me,
for the people who say it's okay to ban people from these platforms. Now, the anti-banning crowd has an uphill battle ahead of them, right? I mean, in just 7 days, they were able to prove that the ban worked, that the ban stopped most of the flow of misinformation. I mean, 3/4 of the misinformation gone. How can you argue with results like that? Now look, me personally, representing Farron Cousins, not the Ring of Fire, I'm actually pretty okay with them purging Donald Trump. I am okay with them purging some of these other individuals that were also inciting violence, as I have always been okay with them purging people who do that. But just spreading misinformation, I honestly think you kind of have to draw a line somewhere. And as much as I hate to say it, misinformation is not necessarily a reason to get banned from a platform. If it were, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, Newsmax, One America News, and 99% of the people on YouTube wouldn't exist anymore. Sorry, but you've all done it at one point or another. So yes, you do actually have to draw a line somewhere. And I think you have to draw it at, right before spreading misinformation. And here's why. Twitter, Facebook, all these other social media outlets that are banning people, they have to be broken up. They do have too much power. You think about the fact that just banning the president and certain individuals from Twitter resulted in a 73% decrease in misinformation. That alone shows you how powerful these outlets are, how powerful these platforms have become over the years because they've just been allowed to grow and grow and grow and gobble up all their competitors and stick their little octopus arms in so many other projects, shutting out alternatives. Monopolistic behavior, right? And because of that, they get to do whatever they want. They can shut down ideas. They can shut down conversations. And yes, it is naive to think that they're only going to shut down the bad conversations, right? You're only going to get the conservatives. They're only going to do the bad guys. No. Go ask the serfs. They actually had their YouTube channel just a couple days ago removed from YouTube for allegedly harassing an individual. And even that individual came out and said they weren't harassing me. Give them their channel back. So that was a horrendous ordeal that they went through. But that is the problem with it. That's the slippery slope. Because they don't even bother to check. They just say, okay, we got a flag here. Let's take it down. Just kill the channel. Kill the channel. Kill the account. Get rid of it here. Get rid of it here. We're not going to go through and check them. Somebody took offense to it. We'll shoot first, ask questions later. Is their policy. And that's not okay. Inciting violence is wrong, and if you do that, you're out. I have no problem with that at all. I mean, hell, that's what the First Amendment says too. Anything short of that, you should still be able to have a voice. These tech giants should not be able to shut them down, and in order to stop the tech giants from doing that, we may need to nationalize them. But we sure as hell need to break them up. And while it's good that there has been a 73% decrease in misinformation, you can also bet that this newfound power that they're enjoying at the moment, it's not going to stop here.
More guards. On horseback.
Mistias, you prevailed.
Thank you, Cassandra. I knew they were on the move, but I didn't think it would
Like
be
my
so soon.
pride and soul, Blue Eyes White Dragon!
In motion.
Hello and welcome to another Overlord Lore video, and today we will take a look at how Emperor Jurgnif reacted to Ain Sulgaun and all of the victories he didn't even realize he had won over him. But before we do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel. Now, Emperor Jurgnif had led his empire to even more glory and prosperity than it already had under his predecessors. And after a troubled start, he now firmly sat on his throne, while any meaningful political opposition had been eliminated. Furthermore, he waged a winning war against the Kingdom of Riestines, and he did it without endangering the military potential of his nation in any meaningful way, shape, or form. And last but not least, his subjects loved and admired him, while he made himself quite a few enemies among the nobility. They were now mostly dead, or left in a state of poverty and powerlessness, while the normal people greatly profited from his reforms, and therefore were very grateful to him.
Do you have any
But
idea where your
everything
daughter
changed when a dragon landed in his courtyard.
She left
And then
without
just a moment later, many of his elite guards,
Every day
one of the
I
4
yearned
Imperial
for
Knights
her
among
return.
them, had been
I should have
killed
think I've lost
by the
her.
Dark Elf envoys sent to him. Now, many other leaders would have capitulated right then and there, going on their knees, begging
Tell
for
me more
mercy.
about your daughter.
I mean, can you imagine how pathetic or stupid Philippe would have reacted to it if he had been in the Emperor's palace? I honestly can't. But instead of collapsing before the deadly threat he had been out of nowhere confronted with, he decided to stand up to it and analyze it.
There must be a
And
reason
soon
why you're
enough he
telling me about
noticed
your
how
daughter.
different the 2 elven envoys had been,
My
and developed a plan to guild Mare
captains
into
the
betraying
skill
Ain Sulgaun's
daughter is the
trust
Tempest?
It's
once,
been years
and
since
then
I've heard
blackmailing
from her.
him with this
I
transgression.
pushed her too much,
The
too
Emperor
far.
was to sow
And
enough
now it
dissent
feels
and
like I've
distrust
pushed her away
that
forever.
the Great Tomb would collapse in on itself. And so he prepared for a war of words
She's an
with
adult now.
Ain
She makes her
Sulgaun,
own choices.
only to realize that he was hopelessly outmatched.
Now isn't the
The
time
demonstration
to
of sheer,
Olympus needs
unfathomable
our
might
help.
inside the
I'll go
throne
to
room,
Bellini and make
and the
myself
magnificent control Ain Sulgaun
Here, Cassandra.
could exercise over his subjects, meant that Jurgnif really couldn't bank on sowing dissent.
Testosterone is what makes a man a man. But if you're eating foods that raise your estrogen, you're never going to have high testosterone. I've been eating...
Therefore, he needed to lure Ainz out of his tomb and show the world what a gigantic threat he truly is. So rather than collapsing before the sheer might of Ain Sulgaun, the Floor Guardians or the many high-level beings inside the Great Tomb's throne hall, he still decided to fight back. But he realized that his empire alone would be too weak to resist him, so he formulated another plan. Ally with Einzelgaun, thereby become the last one of his states on the list to conquer, direct his might away from him by pointing the Sorcerer King's attention to Irantel and the kingdom, handing it to him on a silver platter in order to illustrate his usefulness, but not before asking him to unleash his strongest spell in order to create a breach his knights could exploit. And since the undead would have shown how deadly he truly is, and that he could easily kill thousands on his own, he surely would have made the other leaders, especially the theocracy, realize how big of a threat he truly is, and that a grand alliance would be needed in order to contain and neutralize the threat that the soon-to-be Sorcerer King poses. And his plan failed successfully, and the Cat's Plane Einz unleashed a spell of such magnitude that he alone eliminated the greater part of the kingdom's entire grand army. But his gods had been so powerful and threatening that his own entire army fled. Every single dead Imperial Knight was a result of the gross bewilderment and sheer panic his army had experienced, trampling down their own allies in order to save themselves. Now falling back into his seat, or rather collapsing onto it, laughing maniacally while he read the report, he realized the magnitude of the threat he had chosen to battle. But, to his credit, he still hoped to fight it successfully once the Grand Alliance had happened. But the difference in power was enough to stress him to the brink of breaking. Stomach pain, hair loss, and the ungodly feeling that something was watching him all the time was an immense burden placed upon him. But again, he still carried on and tried his best to contain Heinz's burgeoning realm. But on the way to the secret meeting place with the theocracy, they were not only caught off guard by Heinz, who had chosen to fight in the arena, but he also had been caught with the envoys of the temples and the theocracy red-handed, branding just a traitor in the eyes of his would-be allies. And so finally, outsmarted and defeated by the Sorcerer King, Jerkle finally decided to cut his losses and asked to become a subject of his majesty.
Seems like it'd be easier to silence you and your
reluctantly
crew.
accepted,
Then take back the ships.
Everything changed for the better. Instead of spending day and night working for the greater good of the Empire, like the enlightened monarch he was, he just did what Albedo, Einzelgaun's prime minister, bid him to do, and therefore he turned his stressful position into a comfortable one. And now, the Emperor is a part-timer, and he finally had made a friend. And the friendship between him and the Quagoan leader really deserves a video on its own.
I'd rather not run a...
But for now, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to...
on my word. I'll kill you. We have what we need. Now.
Adam J.
Cassandra.
Al Capone. And the Angel of Death. Bad Guy Yi. Ben C. Boyzilla. Chevy. Carissy. Conquer all. Dash, dash, dash. Death is mercy. Diabetic Centaur. Dystopia.
Take me then.
Elika
They
Birchley.
have nothing to do with this.
Phalis Catus.
I'm the one you're after.
Feral Shivan. Forbus Gurupulon. Gigafight. Ghost of Epicness. Guy with That Head.
We have
Hector
done enough.
Marino.
There's no need
Black
to escalate
Phoenix
this
Emperor.
further. Promise
Hoss.
me that you will see
Asta.
our plan through.
Jacob
to the
G.
end.
Jana B. Jason. Kleinator. Keromius. Large. Lifa. Legendarius. Lord Nishikian Rai. Lord Touch Me. Lord Ulbertolain Odo. Loose as Ollie, legs as Fox, Majima, Mad C, Marcos, Michael R, Mr. Shoes, Mindless Red, Minnow 13, Mir,
里の暮らしは慣れたか？誰かにいじめられたりはしていないか？この間の反物、着物にしたか？困った時、辛い時、悲しい時、いつどんな時でもこの殺生丸を呼ぶがよい。すぐに駆けつけてやろう。遥か彼方にいても我が名を呼べば必ず飛んでいく。声が出なければ口笛でよい、指笛でもよい。隔たりは何もない。心はつながっておる。信じる力があれば恐れることはない。その気持ちさえあれば心は満ちるはずだ。だから今はまだこのままでよい。時は十分にある。ゆっくりとお前の心を見つめておればよい。それまで己を大事にせよ。
I'll do my best to bring her back.
I was so proud of her. There are still so... I should go help the rest.
There are, of course, hundreds of thousands dead now in the United States from the coronavirus. And Donald Trump has been completely silent about that for months. Although, he is absolutely furious that so many celebrities are going to be performing in the Joe Biden inauguration. It is immoral and inconceivable that this is what Trump is focused on after his failure that led to way more coronavirus cases and deaths than we needed to have. Trump is furious that Lady Gaga will be performing for Joe Biden. Trump is furious that Jennifer Lopez and Tom Hanks are going to be featured at Joe Biden's inauguration tomorrow. Donald Trump is furious that country singer Garth Brooks, who refused to participate in Trump's inauguration, although Brooks said it was merely a scheduling conflict, will be performing for Joe Biden tomorrow. Now, Garth Brooks, listen, I don't know that much about Garth Brooks' politics. I don't know if he's sort of like a Dixie Chicks country artist that is the rare progressive exception to what is a more conservative area of music. I don't know much about Garth Brooks. I don't know that I believe it was merely a scheduling conflict 4 years ago and that now he's doing it to unite the country, as he says. Maybe that's the case. Maybe his scheduling conflict is just an excuse. But in any case, Trump is furious. And Trump is furious about the A-listers who shunned him. And he's furious that now they are going to perform for Joe Biden. And I think that the story here really is you know, I don't really care about the performances. I think it's a good point. What I care about is the fall. It appeared during Donald Trump's campaign, and it was proven during Donald Trump's presidency that Trump has only ever cared about himself. The rioters are the perfect example. Trump never cared about the rioters. I said this last week. When the rioters had the House and Senate cleared and delayed the count of the electoral votes, Trump was pleased because that's what he wanted to see happen. When it became clear that the rioters were interfering, so I'm careful how I say it, Trump's perception was that the rioters looked slow Trump was them mad. He never cared about the rioters if they were useful, and he never cared about the rioters because they were plastic and were making him look bad. And then when Donald Trump was that speech saying all of the rioters will be and should be fired, some people said, well, he turned on his own supporters. No, he didn't. He never cared about them as anything other than tools useful to him in achieving his political goals. That's it. Full stop. And so that's what this is about. Tragic numbers of coronavirus deaths. The U.S. has surpassed 400,000 coronavirus deaths. And the comparison is how is the Joe Biden inaugural relative to the Trump inaugural from the standpoint of celebrity participants. Now, lucky for Trump, and I say this sort of tongue-in-cheek, who really cares about this, but lucky for Trump, Joe Biden is not going to have a national mall filled with supporters because of the virus. Donald Trump, on day one of his presidency, sent Secretary Sean Spicer out to lie about the size of the crowd. Trump's not going to be able to, Trump's not going to have to fight about that because Joe Biden won't have a big crowd because there's a pandemic and Joe Biden is doing the responsible thing. But the lesson here is, when it looked like Trump only cared about himself his entire career, when it looked like Trump only cared about himself during his campaign, when it looked like Trump only cared about himself during his presidency, we were right. That's exactly what it was. It's about gathering wealth. It's about inflating his ego and feeding his pride. And something very interesting is about to happen sociologically to the Trump family. Donald Trump and also his children are about to realize how much everybody really dislikes them in the circles they used to run in. When he and they start to be rejected from those circles. New York City is not a cultural milieu that looks forward to welcoming Donald Trump. They did accept him previously. They're not going to now. And we've seen the New York City signs saying no to Jared and Ivanka. We've seen Palm Beach trying to stop Trump from doing things he wants to do, including back to Mar-a-Lago. Half the country is swearing off any of Trump's hotels for life. It is going to be a real awakening here. And of course, Donald Trump is going to blame others. We know that. But it's still going to be something to see. Now, by the way, I don't care about how celebrity stuff relates to what's going on with Trump-Biden, beyond what it means for the culture of the country. But the Garth Brooks thing really does crack me up, only because Garth Brooks did turn Trump down in 2017, again saying it was just a scheduling conflict, and now Dr. Jill Biden asked Garth Brooks to play, and he said he's going to, and he put out a statement saying, this is merely a statement of unity, this is not a political statement, I want the country to be united. But Trump, very, very triggered, and I can only imagine what is going to happen as Donald Trump and his family try to get back to normal life. And remember, when you understand Donald Trump's goals of placating his ego and boosting his self-importance, of being president and alienating half the country and many of the business and celebrity contacts that
we've got the fight coming!
It's going to be a real awakening, and I expect a very isolated Trump. And the last thing on this, and I want to move on. This goes back to when I was talking about Trump only cares about his supporters as useful political tools and nothing else. The people Trump has spent a life wanting to associate with are the elites in Manhattan. Powerful politicians, global leaders, and businessmen, and this type of thing.
Slow it down!
Trump has spent a life trying to not be around the people that are the vast majority of his voters. And so it's very interesting that as Trump leaves office, the only people that accept Trump are the people he spent a life trying not to spend time with. Really a sociologically very interesting thing. So we'll be with you for the Joe Biden inauguration starting tomorrow at 11 p.m. Eastern. I want you to take a very brief break, and afterwards we're going to talk about what will look like for the next 2 years. We have a couple of, I guess I'll call them closing signals. We're going to look at some interesting clips. They may surprise you, they may not, depending on how much attention or did pay to what right-wing media looks like. Right back up to the sponsors today is Nebbia, the creator of the world's most innovative shower head. It uses only about half the water that other shower heads do, saving you money, helping the environment, but it's actually a lot more powerful than other shower heads on the market. It has twice the coverage of other shower heads. The water sprays with a ton of pressure, I've been using it in my bathroom at home. I love it.
Let you
Only took a few
speak!
minutes to set up, really easy, and it's been a totally different experience than any other shower head I've used. I can get in and out of the shower way quicker now because of how powerful it is. It only takes a few seconds to get completely rinsed off. So I was actually amazed that it's only using about half as much water. Nebia also offers a number of shower accessories like shelves and curtains which match perfectly with the design of the shower head. The shower head starts at just $199, but the first 100 people to go to Nebia.com/Pacman.
Looking forward,
Exactly where I
Donald Trump is no longer president, and we're the first to say he doesn't have any power. We mean when we say that he doesn't have any direct political power. We don't have to worry about some sort of executive order making it so that same-sex couples have a harder time adopting, you know, like just at the drop of a hat. Stephen Miller's worst ideas on immigration don't immediately become policy anymore. All of these are good things, but it isn't to say that he won't have some sort of power going forward, and I, for one, want to understand what that might look like. And we're finding out in the past couple of days one idea of what it might look like. That is that President Trump has reportedly floated the possibility of starting a new political party as he prepares to leave the White House amid internal struggles within the Republican Party. The ironic thing, of course, being that the Republican Party, like, to the bitter end, was so deferential to him that multiple senators tried to steal the election for him immediately after being evacuated from the building, because the goons he sent in, they would have been perfectly happy to kill every one of them. But they didn't successfully overturn it, and so he considers that the ultimate betrayal, and now he's thinking about this. He apparently wants to call it the Patriot Party, because he is a very, very clever person. But anyway, Jake, we know that there's like the potential media road, there's a potential political road. We thought maybe it might come in the form of his children running as Republicans or him running as a Republican in 4 years. A third party, what do you think about that as an option?
I love it. I've been against the third party on the left for a long time, and I've taken a lot of heat from progressives for that, some progressives. And why? Do I think the Democratic Party is awesome and I want to protect it? Hell no. Hell no. But if you have a third party, it is going to split your vote and let fascists win. It's just a fact. Now, it's not a fact in primaries. In primaries, it's totally different. And if you want to make an argument for structural change, like ranked choice voting, I love it. How can I help more? So, and we have featured third parties on the Young Turks in the early and even in the late stages of elections because we're fair and we want you to know all of your options, even if I don't necessarily agree with one of those options. So now I tell you all of that because if you've got a third party coming from the right, I am positive that the Republicans will be screwed. Like, if it's anything real, if Trump manages to land it, and that's a big if because he's literally the most incompetent person I have ever seen in public life. So, I mean, if he's putting together a party, he can't put anything together. So there's going to be no cake, there's going to be no balloons, there's going to be no nothing. He's not going to have planned any of it. So I assume that the Steve Bannons of the world will lead the charge, and the Stephen Millers. It'll be a party of pure fear and hatred. That means it'll siphon away a ton of Republican voters, because that's the core of the Republican Party. Yeah. If they split that vote in a way that is real and effective, then the Republican Party's dead. And you know, a fourth party then becomes interesting, because then at that point, you're not automatically handing a win to fascists. So it has a lot of consequences. But John, if it's real, it's the greatest development in, honestly, one of the greatest developments in American political history.
Yeah, and that's not to say that it couldn't have a lot of really negative consequences. You know, a more pure, unadulterated version of Trumpism might lead to more radicalization, extremism attacks, and things like that. They can have those sorts of consequences, but yeah, based on the fact that our system is set up the way it is in terms of how votes are calculated and how winners are determined, this stands a very real chance, if it's done in a serious fashion, of devastating Republican chances of winning national elections. And maybe statewide elections, too, honestly. Anywhere where they compete, the Dems will be much more likely to win. That's just a natural consequence of the system. Now, if they wanted to first change to ranked choice or approval voting or something like that, that is a serious way to pursue a third party on the right that could actually succeed. But if you don't want to do that, you want to skip right to the party, then that's the outcome. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.
Meeting, a tour, and a photo op. President Trump has not been doing any of that for his successor. Instead of what he called a great honor at the time he was invited to the White House, Trump instead is going to leave with a snub.
To raise above what divides us.
We knew Donald Trump was leaving town before the inauguration, but now the First Lady's office confirms there will not be even the most perfunctory greeting for Dr. Jill Biden as incoming First Lady from Melania Trump.
Peace over violence, and others before yourself. Together, as one national family.
The First Lady, as you just saw here in the picture, she's not going to meet with her successor, Dr. Jill Biden, either.
Perhaps you remember the last inauguration day when Trump completely ignored his wife as she exited the car beneath the North Portico. Gracious incumbent met with the new guy, while gracious First Lady met with Melania. The Trumps are showing no such courtesy to the Bidens, who will instead be greeted when they arrive by the head White House usher.
There are some things, of course, that are beyond a president's control, but common courtesy is not one of them. The president has the ability to extend even a basic decency, even a basic common courtesy, and assure the world of a peaceful and unified transition of power. The president's refusal to do that here at the end underscores that he will be recorded as the worst president in the history of the United States. Hello, everybody. I'm David Chester. Thanks for joining us. For those who have been surprised with Donald Trump over the past 4 years, and I include myself among them, shame on us. I, for one, thought that Donald Trump had enormous potential, even though I disagreed with so many of his policies and his approaches. I thought his charisma, his ability to reach, and his populist appeal to so many people, the idea of being a cheerleader in chief in the United States, as Donald Trump wanted to be, make America great again, I thought there was certainly potential. And I, even though I disagreed with so many of his policies, had been hoping for the last 4 years that things would turn out better, that Donald Trump would put aside his ego, his selfishness, his narcissism, and think about the greater good of the American people. And the fact that Donald Trump, even at the end, has been unable to do that feels like such another wasted opportunity. So much time over the past 4 years was spent with Donald Trump focused on himself, so insecure, so unable to talk about the greater good of America and what we all stand for and being able to bring all of us together. A presidential inauguration is usually a moment that transcends our society. It is a celebration of our democracy. A celebration of the fact that in the United States we can have these bitter arguments and have bitter elections, but once they're over, we all unify and we all rally for the greater good. Yes, we are having another peaceful transition of power, but only, of course, because we've got 20,000 National Guardsmen and women who have taken up positions. Washington, D.C. is essentially in lockdown. It is an armed camp. And that is what America has become. We are so divided now that this is what it takes in order to have an event like this, celebrating our democracy without some sort of incident. What an absolute shame. It may take us years, maybe decades to get over Donald Trump's presidency, but we will get over it. We will move forward. And in fact, the time has come now to think about the future, to think about healing. And the way we do that is to forget about Donald Trump and go forward with Joe Biden, onward to the 46th president of the United States. In the end, perhaps it doesn't really matter whether Donald Trump is there or not. It only matters whether America can move forward. And move forward, we will.
Share your world with the Samsung Galaxy S21 5G. Record smooth slow-mo. Zoom in slow motion. That's why you're activated on your network from anywhere.
So you're interested in Marvel Strike Force, but you aren't sure what it is or why you should play. In this series of videos, we're going to show you how to master the game with tips and tricks from the experts. But first, let's take a look at the different game modes and see what you can expect. It doesn't matter if your favorite is Spider-Man or Captain America, Wolverine or Hulk or even Iron Man. You get to see them all in this game, along with dozens of other characters from the pages of Marvel. Marvel Strike Force is a strategy role-playing game where the superheroes and villains of the Marvel Universe must join forces against Ultimus. He basically wants to rule the multiverse, and it's your job to stop him. As you fight back against Ultimus, you'll unlock more than 80 legendary heroes and villains to add to your roster. Then you get to power up these characters and make them even stronger by crafting gear, training them, and earning awesome new abilities. Basically, you help them become as strong as they are in the comics. As the war spreads across realities, all bets are off. Spider-Man might fight himself, or face evil versions of the Avengers. You might even come up against an entire army of Star-Lords. You get to command the heroes and villains and stop Ultimus's plan. If you love Marvel storylines, you're going to want to first check out the game.
One of the things we've been talking about in a sort of hypothetical sense since the riots in Washington, D.C. on January 6th is, if instead of being a mostly white male conservative crowd there, storming the Capitol, fighting with police, pushing police with barriers, hitting police with fire extinguishers, and on and on and on, if it had been a Black Lives Matter protest, if the political orientation had been different, or the racial makeup of the people there had been different, would it have been allowed to go on for as long as it did? Would it have been handled in the same way? And I think intuitively, most of us who understand the way things have gone down in the United States for the last many years can only come to the conclusion that no, it would not have been the same if the protests last week had been different groups of people in terms of their makeup or politically oriented in a different way. We don't just have to intuit our sense of that, because we actually have a study about this, and Barack Obama shared this on his Twitter account recently. And the study was done by ACLED, A-C-L-E-D. It's a data reporting project, and initially they used to look at armed conflict in African countries, and then they started looking at the United States. And in the United States, we've had so many protests / riots of different kinds that there's plenty of fodder and data to look at. And what ACLED found is that law enforcement is much more likely to try to shut down left-wing protests than they are right-wing protests. When law enforcement uses force to shut them down, they are much more likely to use force in the left-wing protests than in the right-wing protests by a 51% to 34% margin. More than half the time when they decide to shut down a left-wing protest, they use force. Only about a third of the time when they decide to shut down a right-wing protest, they use force.
I will continue my observations.
And there are a number of different things to consider here. You might say, well, maybe the left-wing protests are more violent, and thus it makes sense that police are more likely to try to shut them down or to use force. That is not what the data actually shows. The data does not show that left-wing protests are more violent than right-wing protests. Another consideration would be, where are the left-wing versus the right-wing protests taking place? In other words, political orientation of the protest aside, are the left-wing protests happening in places whose police departments, for other reasons, are more likely to prevent them from going on too long, whereas the right-wing protests are happening in places whose police departments are more lax in allowing them to go on? That also does not appear to be the case. And so this is a really a concept. This is not a trivial thing. And where I believe much of the investigation needs to be is in the political orientation, not just of the police officers, but of the police departments, and this also includes mayors. We know that law enforcement is a relatively conservative group. Law enforcement in total supported Trump in 2020 at a much greater level than the average population. So, of course, there are liberal police departments and police departments with liberal police chiefs or that work under liberal mayors. There's no doubt about that. But overall, the makeup of the officers tends to be far more right-wing than the average population. This also applies to the military, although we did see in 2020 that the military was more supportive of Joe Biden than they've been of most past Democratic candidates, at least going back a number of elections. So certainly we have to consider whether the political orientation of the officers plays a role, and also if you have right-wing officers, but a more centrist or center-left police chief and mayor, how does that affect the handling of protesters? What we know is that when we talk about the right to protest, if the left-wing protests aren't more violent, and we know that they are not, but yet police are more like,
I can head over
and
to
the left-wing protesters are not more likely to be armed, and they are not. Then we have to say, well, why is it that the left-wing protests are more likely to be shut down? And is that a restriction?
The chief engineer is
and
amongst the attendees.
Right-wingers either misunderstand or pretend not to understand when the First Amendment is a factor. You know, Twitter suspending Trump is not a First Amendment issue. It has nothing to do with the First Amendment.
It's more than a blame.
We hear all the time, my First Amendment rights, my First Amendment rights, Trump's First Amendment rights, but it has nothing to do with the First Amendment. But when you see a political discrepancy in which protests are shut down, along the lines of the political orientation or motivations of the protests by police, under the guidance of police chiefs, city councils, mayors, etc., you really actually have to start asking questions about whether the government is suppressing speech and suppressing it along political lines. So none of this is a catch-all that explains every circumstance, but it's a very good data analysis. 538 has a write-up about it. Again, the organization that did the analysis is ACLED, A-C-L-E-D, and we'll link to the article about it in the description on the YouTube clip for this story. Take a look at it. Let me know what you think. You can find me on Twitter at @DPacman.
The chief engineer is here. I don't know exactly. Should be easy enough. The code word is I am Poseidon's chosen. This looks like the place Darius mentioned.
Travel to be here, though I thank you for coming. I speak of the noble history of Greek shipping in this wonderful historic amphitheater set within prosperous Achaea. I think it appropriate to reflect upon that ancient duty of which, with all modesty, we have become masters. It is we, the Greeks, who took the world from the
I am Poseidon's chosen.
Oh, okay. What did he choose you for?
To speak to you?
Please leave me alone.
I am Poseidon's...
Idiot.
What?
You're not his chosen, you're his idiot. I could hear you from here, pestering people. Who told you about me?
A friend of mine has been asking around about you. We heard you want to flee Achaea, and we can help with that.
Such freely offered help often comes with a hidden cost.
Not this time. I promise.
Well, if the Tempest had sent you, I'd be dead by now.
I need a way to defeat her. Like this weapon I've heard about.
The Chimera's breath. My greatest creation, but also my greatest regret. I left before they could force me to complete it. Without my finishing touches, it will never work as intended.
Tell me more about this secret weapon. What does it do?
It's meant to engulf enemy ships in a torrent of flames. And it works extremely well. Installation is the tricky part, though. If done incorrectly, it backfires. Horribly.
You worked with the Tempest. What can you tell me about her?
She's a ruthless, emotionless creature. But the scariest part about her is her strategic brilliance. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more perfect commander.
You said you want out of Achaea. Do you have a plan?
The only way out is through the Tempest. Trust me, I've exhausted every other option I can think of. That's my wife up there. And now I've put her life at risk too.
You're taking a big risk by sharing your secrets with me.
No. I'm betting on you to destroy the Tempest for me. Get your hands on the plans, and I can install the Chimera's breath on your ship. With it, you can destroy her entire fleet. I must do something to right this wrong.
If the Chimera's breath is as powerful as you say it is, it would be helpful.
Once I'm done with your ship, it will...
So, how do I get the plans?
The Tempest's fleet commander has them. He's manning the naval blockade. While you're gone, I'll get to work. The plans are written in a code that only I can read. So even when we have them, it'll take...
I'll meet you back here when I'm done.
Good. I was wondering how we could clear the blockade.
I'll take care of...
Keep the whip. I'm going to enjoy this. Malaka, help me! Hey! Fuck! Someone's here! You're an easy man to say goodbye, scum!
The weapon plans for the Chimera's breath. Time to head back to the amphitheater. No! No! They must have found the engineer.
Look, boys! First the runaway engineer and now the eagle bearer. Aren't we lucky?
Lucky isn't the word I'd use.
Oh, look who decided to show up just in time.
Kill them! Kill them both!
What did I ever do to you?
Αδύνατον εστί!
The Tempest is more shrewd and careful than we expected.
We should warn the others. They might be in danger too. I'll have Varnavas take a look at the plans. In any case, we shouldn't linger here.
Back to the shadows, then.
I saw you talking to my husband. I can help.
The engineer's wife. What do you know about the weapon plans?
My husband scattered code books around the hair. Some are amongst the Tempest's fleet, and others are in the shipyard. With them, you learn how to build and install the weapon. Then you can end the Tempest and avenge my husband.
I'll end the Tempest with or without your husband's weapon. Either way, he'll be avenged.
He would be happy to hear that.
There are plenty of ships in Achaea. What should I look for?
The Tempest ships patrolling the harbor will be a good place to start.
I'll find those codebooks. I see it. Found it. This must be one of the code books the engineer's wife mentioned. I can't understand any of this. Maybe Varnavas can.
Stop! You're not allowed here. You stab!
Code book. I'll give this to Varnavas. That's what I'm looking for.
before they called for reinforcements.
Hold until we're ready! They're coming right at us! I think we're out of danger here. You had me worried for a second there, Commander. For Sparta!
Look. A weapons demonstration.
We weren't expecting you, Tempest.
My weapons, Lieutenant. Where are they?
They're installed, but not tested.
Fire them.
But it's not stable.
Fire them. You stay here.
Fire!
Fix this by tomorrow.
Yes, Admiral.
The skiller awaits my return. But first, I will inspect your work in the shipyards and see what else you idiots have managed to mess up. Move! The Tempest.
This won't be easy, especially...
If they manage to harness that kind of power, the Adrestia might not be able to match it.
I don't think a fleet could. We need to be a step ahead.
Sounds like you have a plan.
We need to go after her. If we can end things here, we're all the better.
We need to catch her.
It's not too far. Come on.
The shipyard.
The Tempest will be easier to find if we split up.
The woman in charge. Do you know her?
I don't know anything. Please leave me alone.
Something doesn't feel right.
The Tempest can't find me. Shoot! The weapons aren't ready. They are not ready.
The woman who came by here. Where is she?
She left, I hope.
Poseidon, save us.
Something is out there. Or someone. I'm looking for the woman who runs this place.
The weapon is not ready. It's not. It's...
The Tempest must have torn through this place. Someone is following me. Just food and kitchen supplies.
Don't know you. What are you doing? Keep looking.
Have you seen the woman in charge here?
Don't let them hear you. There are eyes and ears everywhere.
Cassandra, quickly, over here!
I didn't find the Tempest.
I found this. The Order suspects we're in Achaea. They've tasked the Tempest with capturing us.
We walked into a trap.
Father, he'll need to hear about this. Quickly!
We're being followed.
No, we're being hunted. There, that warehouse. I'll draw their attention and hide. You can take it from there.
No, I'll run to the warehouse and get their attention.
Have it your way, but don't leave me behind.
I won't. I want you to have my back.
That's more like it. Go, go!
It's over.
You won't get away with this. The Tempest...
Tell me where the Tempest is. What's her plan?
She's building a weapon to be installed on her ship, the Scylla. And she's locked down all of Achaea to trap you, Eagle Bearer. There's nowhere left to run. The Scylla will blow you out of the water. Her fleet will crush you. You'll never defeat her.
If the Tempest is looking for us, then destroying her fleet should get her attention.
They tried to trap us.
We almost had the Tempest.
At least the Order has lost our scent for now.
Be safe, Natakas. I'll see you later at the ship.
speeding up for a hit, Commander! Back on safe quarters. We need to move before they hit us! We missed them! We're getting in position! Don't waste ammo! Commander, we need to brace or get out of the way!
There they are. Was sent by the Tempest. She won't be the last.
Father almost killed her when they first met. If I hadn't stopped them...
Good. We're all here.
We've done everything we set out to.
Now, to get the stranded people out of Ashea.
The Tempest is on her way to install the Chimera's breath on the Skila.
But we have the Chimera's breath now. The Tempest will never know what hit her.
Without the Chimera's breath, she doesn't stand a chance. I am Poseidon's chosen, after all.
What?
We'll surprise the Tempest. Barnabas and I will launch a sea attack. Using the Chimera's breath to disable the Skila will be our best chance to get everyone off the coast.
The merchant ships?
The distraction should buy time for them to leave.
Natakas and I will make sure everyone is on board the ships. This is our chance to leave Achaea.
Darius is right, Natakas. You should be on those ships. Both of you. They're your way out.
What do you think, Natakas?
It's our only chance.
You have to take it.
We will.
We'll need somewhere to stay until then. Somewhere that won't raise suspicion.
I know just the place. A house on the hill near the men.
Go ahead. I'll meet you there later.
There he is. She'll have yours instead.
You haven't bested me yet!
More mercenaries sent by the Tempest. Must be some bounty.